I'll let you know when it's live.
Okay.
Hello, hello, everyone. This is the last day of Black History Month, and I have the pleasure of interviewing Mr. George Brooks, and he is out of the Dallas, Texas area, and we are going to have Mr. George Brooks of the Metta Association. He is going to tell you about his association and what they do for people in Dallas, Texas, and surrounding areas. One moment before Mr. Brooks comes on, everybody knows I've got to show my little videos. Y'all hurry up and get in here and share this message because I told y'all I was going to bring me. There's so much to this bullshit, and there's so much to these bullshit bloggers. Okay, okay. I am Queen. You the first person, and thank you for coming in. Pan, he is one of my we DJ together under DRT under the April Showers Network,
Okay.
and he is from Greece. I am Queen, and Pan, you two have been coming in. Soon as the show airs, I need you guys to inbox me so I can send you a token of appreciation. Well, first of all, I am I can truly say I have been blessed by people that I have been meeting in different podcasts and online. And I want to give back. So I want to showcase different people that I am meeting. And today we have Mr. George Brooks, George P. Brooks now. And he's of the Meta Association, and he's out of Dallas, Texas area, Garland, Mesquite, all those areas. So the platform is his. I'm getting ready to share the show. So you go ahead. I'm gonna put my mic on.
Well, I want to thank everyone that's here this afternoon. My name is George Brooks. Hello, Queen. Thank you. My name is George Brooks. I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee. I moved to the DFW area about 4 years ago. And when I was in Memphis, I went through a lot of rough things: addiction, depression, health problems, divorce, rough upbringing, and all that. So I saw when I got here that I could use that experience to help people. And I had a moment where God spoke to me and told me this was His purpose for me, and this is my calling. So I started Meta Association, and what Meta Association is a nonprofit. We're fully a 501c3 registered with the Secretary of State. We focus on Black men and mental health. We don't exclude anyone. We help everyone. I just helped someone over in the UK last week. So we help everyone, but we do focus on Black men, Black males. The three main tent poles of our focus are Black mental health, recidivism prevention, because oftentimes when individuals come out from incarceration, they don't have the resources or mental health care to be successful. So what we want to do is try to provide those resources. Whereas when people come out, they do have a way to be successful because we expect them to come out and get a job and be a productive member of society, but they can't do that because they have a handicap, so to speak, to deal with. They have a deficiency coming out and dealing with the world just by having a charge. So we're working against that. And our third tentpole, which is to me the most important and which really speaks to me as a Black man and as a father, is that we focus on life skills for Black men and fatherhood. That's very important. And it ties into our recidivism message in the sense that if we give these men and women to get out an opportunity to be successful, then we're actually returning parents back to their children in a more complete state. So that will help alleviate a lot of the problems. So that is basically what Metta Association is about.
Okay, I have one question, and then again, I'm going to give the show to you. It's your show. Now, you said you started this due to a rough upbringing, addictions. Now,
Yes.
see, I would support you because you real. You done been there, done that.
Yeah.
I don't need nobody telling me nothing that they ain't experienced.
True.
So you're on a great path because you know what it's like.
Yeah, I
And
do.
and and that's great. Again, the floor is back to you. If anybody wants to ask any questions, and also, Mr. Brooks, if you want to right now, you can go ahead and share the show.
Okay.
Uh, as I say, hello, um, Mr. Fat Boy. He is a good friend. His name, hey, he says Mr. Clarence Carter, right?
Right.
Because he said he had OCOV. Fat Boy,
Mhm.
I be stroking. I said, wait a minute, I got to put you up on a little something. Now you
Mhm.
say, that was Clarence Carter, Clarence Carter. I be stroking. So he changed his name to Clarence Carter. I don't know
Okay.
if you have ever heard the song.
Oh yeah, I have. I'm from Memphis, so
Right.
Memphis is
And
run by
this
the
is
blues.
Just
So.
V. And my grandmother, and I still have an aunt, they're in Memphis. Hello, Just V. And they live in the Germantown area.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what that is.
And so, I've been going to Memphis my entire life.
Mhm.
So, again, did you need to share the show? And I talked to people for a minute because we do have them in there.
Oh, I'm
We
good.
do
I'm good.
have people in here and they will
I'm
be
good.
asking you questions. So,
Okay.
I did put it on your timeline, but
Yes,
you
ma'am.
might
Thank you.
want to share to other people.
I will do. I
Okay,
appreciate
so
it so much. Thank you.
hey, Michelle. Honey, I got Mr. George P. Brooks. Sorry, ladies, he's engaged. And he has a non for profit organization. And he is helping out in the community. And everybody knows I help out in my community. And so these are people I am automatically drawn to. His organization is legit if you want to donate. So I've already checked everything out. And so, are you done with sharing? Because I'm going to
Oh
give
yes,
you
ma'am.
the
I
platform.
am done. Yeah, I'm
Okay,
ready to get
so
to
the
it.
platform is yours. My mic is on mute, and I am just going to be putting up the comments and questions people might have.
Okay. Well, I like to approach things kind of in an open, laid back manner. So if anyone has any questions or anything, please go ahead and shoot those out. Because if nothing else, they may give me a good idea for a program or something I can utilize to help people. So if you have any ideas or anything you may want to see, please feel free to share them. You can visit our site, which is www.mettaassociation.org. Um, on there, it has information on how to contact me. I do answer emails personally. We have our business number there as well. So if you don't reach me on our business line, you can leave a voicemail and I will get back to you. But some things we got going on that are exciting with Metta Association that I feel like will really help the Black community and all communities, but it is what it is because I am what I am and I want to help my people first. And I feel like once we help ourselves, we're in a better position to collaborate with other races, especially economically, because that's really where the foothold is. That's been the missing element with us exercising our power, is that we have not exercised it economically, and that's the only language that those in power seem to understand. So, but that begins at square one, which begins with healing our communities first, and I feel personally that begins with our men. Um, Healing the racial trauma, healing the insecurities that we have, the other trauma that we've experienced as a diaspora. So I feel like once we do that, then we're better equipped to support our women, support our families, support our communities on our own without the need of government assistance, without the need of well, let me put it to you this way: with more of it, with more and mechanism in place to for us to help ourselves. So I know that seems like a very ambitious vision for Meta, but that's what God put on me, so that's what I'm going to do. But I am very aware of the fact that it starts at square one. So,
Okay, wait a minute.
mhm.
Now, um, so you work with children.
We have not focused on children yet, just because they
So you're
require some.
working with adults,
Yes, we were primarily working with adults. I tend to focus on 14 and up,
14 and
because
up.
especially considering the 20s is the age where many diagnoses become apparent. You may have a child that has a mental illness, but it may not be diagnosed until they're in their 20s, or symptoms may not become chronic until they're in their 20s. So we kind of focus on that, and we want to try to catch people right at the onset of symptoms, so we can at least get them open to treatment, open to medication, because that is a part of it. I've encountered a lot of people that were against uh, medication. And that's simply the wrong attitude, because you wouldn't tell a diabetic not to take insulin. You would tell them to
Oh
take
my
their insulin.
goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you preaching. I
Yeah. And
got
I'm
to
a
give you
diabetic.
the
I got my
robe. I got to
insulin
give
right
you the
now.
robe. I
Yeah.
got to
So
give you the robe. I tell people, Mr. Brooks, I say, you cannot pray about everything. Some
no.
people got to go get some medication. Oh, he preaching, y'all. I'm passing
Yeah.
him that robe.
Yeah, we
Boom.
got to change our attitude as a people, because what I would always hear, and I don't know, it may have just been a myth thing, I don't know, but what I would hear when I was in my struggles was that I wasn't praying enough. Um, and that's a whole separate saga. But I wasn't, I didn't need the medication. There was nothing wrong with me, and it wasn't that at all. I was just around the wrong people. And sometimes in life, whether you have a mental illness or not, the best thing for you to do is get up and move. If you're not living the life that you want, if you're around the wrong people, there's nothing wrong with moving. And I know a lot of people are scared of that. Um, but sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes a change of scenery is what you need. And that's one thing I advocate for in dealing with people with addiction issues. Because I know for me to fully make that break in my succession from addiction, I had to move. I mean, I couldn't live in the same neighborhood. I couldn't be around the same people. I had to move. And it didn't just benefit me in terms of eliminating my addiction, but in terms of me becoming healthier mentally, physically, and spiritually. So it takes many components to live a life of recovery. You have to have the pharmaceutical aspect, but you have to have the spiritual aspect, no matter what that may be. You have to have the physical aspect, and you have to have the mental and intellectual and progressive aspect mentally.
Okay, I have a question I want to ask. Do you think today's men, boys, are disrespectful due to coming from a single parent with a woman raising them?
Okay. Um, I Let me say this first. This is my belief. I applaud every single mother out there. Okay, I do. But it's hard for me to say that, looking at people I've known, and I grew up in a two-parent household, and it did keep me from being a lot worse off than I was. It does make a difference if it's possible. Now, every relationship it's not going to be possible, but if you can work with your either your child's father or mother, whatever, to try to put personal feelings aside and do things for the benefit of the child, I found that it benefits the person. And I think that's why a lot of black men are disrespectful toward our women is because we don't have that chivalrous um, spirit put in us like we should, and that can only come from a man. I'm sorry, you know, but that's why we have to fix ourselves. We can't sit around any longer and wait on somebody to knock on our door saying, "Look, here's a check to fix your problems. Here's another program to fix your problems." We have to fix ourselves, which means we have to fund ourselves. We have to do all the legwork ourselves, and it's not I don't hope that it doesn't come across like a menial thing because it's quite empowering. And I think once the world sees us unite and try to do what we can for ourselves, they'll have to respect us because right now they don't. And if you look at social media, we're giving them every reason not to.
Okay. Another question I have to ask you. Hey, okay. First of all, I want to shout out everybody that's in the chat. Me and Mr. Brooks, we're very thankful.
Thank you.
Um, I am Queen Pan, OCOV Fat Boy, Clarence Carter. I be stroking. Just V, Miss Michelle Jordan, Mr. Frank G. Shorts, and Indigo, Mr. White Tupac, and Georgia Girl. Okay, what do you think about Tina Knowles' book, The Profile of a Black Man?
I'm not familiar with that work. If you could elaborate a little bit on it, I can give you my opinion based
Okay,
on.
well, Tina Knowles, who was married to Matthew Knowles,
Mhm.
the mother of Beyonce and Solange, okay, mother in law to Jay Z. Hey, Tears. Well, she's come up and she is doing profile of a black man. Well, I have issues with her speaking about black men because, for one, she was married to Matthew Knowles, who had two outside children that he never acknowledged, and
Mhm.
her son in law refuses to take a paternity test. So I have an issue with men that don't claim their kids.
I do too. I do too. Now, if there's a real instance where a gentleman may not be sure, that's one thing. But oftentimes, guys know, they know, and they just deny. And I've seen that occur before, and it's such a sickening thing. Fatherhood for me, I have five. I have three stepchildren, two sons of my blood, but they're all my children.
You said you
Nothing
have
is
how
more.
many?
I have two sons of my own and three stepchildren, so I have a total of five.
Okay, yeah, you got a total of five kids.
Yeah. So nothing is more enjoyable. Nothing makes me happier than being a father. And it's sad because a lot of these guys don't realize you're missing out on that. But see, that's something I can go and articulate to them. I can tell them what they're missing out on. I can help advise them because one experience I had in Memphis, as I mentioned earlier, I went through a very bitter divorce. I mean, pretty much everything that could happen in a divorce happened. And we did not speak. We were just total enemies. But in time, we worked on ourselves, and now we're friends. We talk every day. We talk about our son all the time. So those relationships can be healed if you go into it with a selfless mindset, not in the sense of you giving up everything, but with a truly selfless mindset that it's not about you because it's not. And I think we have a very self-centered society. I can't say selfish, but self-centered. And if we can take some of that attention and portion it out to other people, that will solve a lot of our problems, in the world on its own. But we have to get people on board. And one thing we have to realize is that everyone is not going to go with us. I would like to see, you know, black men unite, but I know that's not going to happen. But I can garner as many as I can and make my best effort as God I feel like has laid out for me. So, but as far as her book, I don't know. I'll probably try to look into it. I would be interested in see what her perspective is if she's sort of shunning that behavior or condoning it, because that would make all the difference. Um, but based off what you told me, I feel as though maybe she should have done a disclaimer and said, this is my perspective as a black woman. I'm not a black man, so kind of take it with a grain of salt. You kind of have to. But I don't. One thing I do recognize is that once I get these programs up and running, we will need black women to participate and help with the healing process because you all are a part of it. But we have to get the ball rolling and get things started. So that's it. That's the point where I am right now with my nonprofit and personally as well.
Well, the reason I asked that question is because I bashed her. I did a show and I bashed her. As far as I'm concerned, you cannot speak about a black man, and you were married to a man that had two children on the outside, and he has never acknowledged those children.
Yeah.
And then you have a son in law who refuses to take a blood test. But in the meantime, people want to say, well, us black women are mad at her. We're jealous. Like, no, you're missing the whole point.
Right.
She stayed with the man who never acknowledged his outside kids. Like,
Right.
really?
Right.
Her son in law has not taken a paternity test. Like, y'all can miss me with all
I,
of that mess.
I can tell you
You
this,
know,
me personally, uh, in my journey in fatherhood, like my oldest son is 17, I've been in a constant custody fight to make sure that he's well. And I won't elaborate into a lot of what's happened, but I'm really personally very hard on black men that aren't responsible or good fathers. Because to me, you already know what you missed out on. So you ought to go above and beyond to make sure your child does not miss out. So it's probably not an easy subject, and what I will do in the spirit of fairness and due diligence, I will research the subject further, probably check out her book, and then post a response or do a video on it. But I don't, just in the interest of fairness, until I see it and kind of get some context, and I may be glean something off of it differently than what you may. So I just want to be fair in that.
well, I'm the type of person, like I said, I have no respect for men that don't claim their children. I
No.
don't care how they got here. If you cheated or whatever, own up to your responsibility.
Right. Right.
Um, Now you're living in Memphis. I know all about Memphis.
Hmm.
Okay, so we've had all of these rappers being murdered in Memphis. What are you doing now? Have you changed the way you approach men, trying to help them since all of these murders have been going on in Memphis with the rappers? Are you discouraging people? Are you telling them they should not become rappers or be positive rappers? What's your take on that situation?
Well, since I'm in Dallas, I really don't watch the news anymore. But as far as Memphis goes, it doesn't seem any worse than what it was when I was growing up. It's just now with social media and everything, it's more out there because people been getting shot in Memphis ever since I was a child. It's nothing new, nothing new. But what I want to do, since you bring up the rappers, one idea I was thinking about, one thing I was exploring is maybe holding a summit where I would bring a lot of the young rappers, known or unknown, anyone who wants to participate together, and maybe we can discuss some things about how to they have talent. These young men have talent. They have some business sense, but they are not capitalizing on it. They're getting caught up in the game and losing their lives and losing their fortunes. And a lot of them are doing philanthropic things. So let's try to focus on that. I feel like if you're a rapper, no matter what you rap about, I don't care. Freedom of speech. That's on you. But if you're gonna show kids you holding a Draco, show them with you in a business suit buying land. Show them you investing, show them you volunteering, because you're doing it, you are doing it. So, but because you want street cred, you don't want to show that side of yourself. Collaboration is the new philanthropy. That's how people are going to get rich, by collaborating and networking. That's just the bottom line. So if I can teach that, or espouse that virtue onto our young people, and they get onto that now, and they get out experienced people, they'll be more successful than we could ever have hoped they would be. Because what I'm doing is for my kids and their kids. I'm not going to see any. I don't think, but I hope I would see some measurable change in my lifetime. But I know what's ahead of me. But I'm just trying to get the ball rolling, trying to be the catalyst, and it's on our children, it's on future generations to make sure that they complete the work. Because while we weren't put in this position overnight, we're not going to fix it overnight. It took centuries. It took since before slavery for us to get in this position. And right now, we're still in bondage. We're in bondage economically. We're in bondage mentally. We're in bondage spiritually. And we have to free ourselves from that. So that's part of what I do. This is my little contribution to that. So I encourage other people. I'm big into networking. Anything that I can do to help people, I'll do. Um, of course, with not, let me say this, with the pandemic and nonprofits, one thing that's really important is that we support our small nonprofits and all nonprofits, because I've been running Meta for 3.5 years and I have not made a dime. I get no salary, and I'm paying out of pocket. And be honest, at this point, for me to progress, I have to have some donations coming in to fund these programs. That's what they go for. They don't go in my pocket, they go towards the program, because I've been spending a lot of money out of pocket. And that's why a lot of these efforts don't get off the ground. It's often just coming down to funding, because you have passionate people. So we have to support our own groups, do our own grassroots, do our own campaigns, and just get involved. And to what degree that's up to the individual. Maybe you can make two or three outreach calls a week for a nonprofit. That helps them out tremendously. Maybe you can volunteer in the office one day a week. That helps them out tremendously. And of course, cash donations help, because that goes for things like printer cartridges. I just had to buy some yesterday. So I just want you all and everyone to understand that, oftentimes we hear, well, why aren't people doing anything? Well, they are. It's just they don't get noticed. Wonderful woman here by the name of Helen Nixon, and she doesn't know I'm bringing her up. And I'll post her information later. She volunteers at a nonprofit food pantry over in South Dallas, and she has been a tremendous help to me. And I would be happy to see what she could do if she has the resources, because her heart is in it. You know, so we have to support ourselves, support our roots, support our children, and just be more ingratiated to each other to see success. Because if one benefit, we all benefit. I'm not the kind of person, if I see someone in a brand new car, I don't get jealous. I get happy, because that person is obviously doing well. Now, not if they got it ill-gotten means, then that's one thing, but I'm happy for people. And we have to adopt that philosophy. We have to change the way we think, change our perspective, change the way we look at things. But that's going to take generations to do. But we got to get started now, because now we know what ails us. Now we are aware of where we need to improve. And to be aware of something and not address it, to me, is a sin. Like my mother told me one time, it's a sin to waste your talents, because God gave you those. How dare you waste them? It's the same thing. We are powerful
Well,
people.
I want to give my opinion. When I
Yes,
see the
ma'am.
person in the brand new car, I think that's nice. I'm glad they have a brand new car. But I see car note and insurance.
Yeah, yeah. Cause see, I don't
Like,
have a car right now.
unless
Because
you
running,
pay cash for it,
yeah,
I see car note and insurance.
yeah,
And I'm
well,
not hating on anybody. I want everybody to make it. I want us all to make it, because I
yeah,
want to
that's
be
true.
able to call you up in case I decide to move to Texas, because I have family out there.
Okay,
You know, I want to be like, hey, let me know what's going on. What?
right, right.
Um. Okay. When you go speak at events for men, how how do you open your shows? Give us like a general idea of when you walk in the room. What do you say to the audience?
It kind of depends on my feel for the audience. I usually always though start out with my narrative and where I've been. It breaks the ice. It makes me relatable to them. It lets them know, hey, I've been there. So that goes a long way because I think it better suits me to kind of know what they need and be able to quickly identify what's going to be best for them or best help them or help guide them in the right direction. I could have sat up here and spent years in school getting many degrees. Yeah, that's great, and I do have an education. However, I felt like it was best for me to get into this now while some of the scars are still kind of fresh and use that pain to help people. That way I use it. It's a process for me. It helps me heal and it helps people heal. That way it's a win-win situation. Oh, and just for I am in Garland, so I'm about a mile from Dallas. So I'm pretty much in Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas. I go there. Um, hey, B Sparrow. I go there like 3 times a year, and I've had the pleasure of meeting some people that I've met, like Black Girl Beauty, who is a teacher, and so I am going to let her know about the services that you offer, and that is to go around and talk to adult people, and you let them know that there is hope, even though you've been an addict. You
Hmm.
let them know that there is hope, even though you have been abused. There's nothing wrong with seeking professional help. We cannot pray about anything. Um, you have the resources there that you can refer people to get the help that they need. Correct?
Correct. Correct.
Okay. And then
And
you're active in the community too.
yes, I teach a recidivism course for Oasis here in Dallas. Oasis, OASIS, under the auspices of Mr. Michael Lee, who gave me the opportunity to expand myself when I needed it. So I teach a recidivism, I facilitate rather, uh, job training course for people that are coming out of incarceration. So that's one thing I do. I also have had people call me privately. I've helped several people privately. That's what I do. The public speaking is something I picked up on. That's going to be a separate enterprise I'm starting called Becoming Unafraid. It's going to be my speaking engagement venture, my life coaching, things like that. So that'll be starting up soon. And in fact, I have 3 speaking engagements in March. And I'll provide you some details on those later. Um, but things are really going well, and we're really looking at being able to help some people. I got a few judges that have been open to collaborating with me. A couple members of the city council, so I'm making strides in the right direction. It's hard because I'm doing this all by myself. I don't have any volunteers. So everything that gets done from website design to everything I'm having to do or pay for out of pocket. And I don't say that to whine. I say that to add perspective, to give people perspective on what it is that organizations out here that are trying to help our community that you may not even be aware of are going through. Because it's important, and especially with the pandemic on top of it. But I can say there have been several people who have been very helpful and been very kind and in assisting me in getting this far. Kwame Brown, his platform, he's allowed me to come on his platform and speak. He's been a tremendous
Oh,
help.
I love Kwame.
I
Kwame.
really, and I hope I get the chance to speak with him because I think I got some programs and some ideas, that he can assist on and I can assist him on. So hopefully I get the chance to speak with him at some point. Just various people in Dallas. Dallas has been wonderful to me. Dallas, Dallas has pretty much been my paradise. Everything I'm interested in, everything I'm into is here. The people have been great. So I'm very happy here. This is home. Memphis is home too, because I plan on taking Metta back to Memphis and doing some programs there at some point when I'm ready. But the one thing I can't do is leap before I'm ready because that's gonna hurt people I'm trying to help. So that's one thing that's really important. But other people like Dr. Foster Booker Drew in Dallas, Carl Berry, Andy Costa. Um, if I forget you, it's just because I forgot for the moment. Don't hold it against me. I'll get you on the next one. But there have been great people here, and we have to collaborate. I've learned the art of networking, um, and things like that. So it's beneficial. And my son is actually picking up on the habits, and it's helped him, with his career ambitions. Did I see? Did I see a difference in coronavirus counseling during the coronavirus? The only real difference I saw, and to me this is a good thing, was the advent of telecare. You know, I've been in therapy since I moved here. It's been tremendous. I got a black male therapist, Sekou Frazier in Dallas. He's been tremendous. But we did more telecare visits, telehealth visits. And in fact, I think that's good because, especially those with mental illness, sometimes it's hard for us to get out and function and do things. And having that convenience of having your therapist be able to see you on the phone, or being able to see your psychiatrist and get your medications refilled over the phone, has been a tremendous boon for us. So hopefully that's something we can keep going and probably integrate more, not only into areas of those living with mental illness, but other areas as well, especially as far as health concerns with the Black community. Oh, have I seen a difference? Yeah, I've seen a difference. I've seen people be more apt to going because it to them it feels detached enough where they can open up more. So that's why I'm so high on it, because I've seen people open up and take those appointments where they wouldn't have taken them before if they had to go face to face.
Anybody that is listening to this show that's in the Dallas Garland area, and you want to volunteer your services, because I do volunteer um, myself for I've Been Mended. It's a non for profit, and we help out in the community too. He really needs volunteers. Also, any big brothers or any um, ladies to be big sisters. We have got to go back also, like we said, with this mental health crisis, and it
Mhm.
is on the rise due to COVID-19. You cannot pray about everything. You have to go get some treatment. We want
Right, right,
Black people to temporarily be on medication to get themselves together and get their minds right. So
right,
when they go out here, they can be a success to the community, the Black community, and mentor.
right. Because it's
And
time
if
for us to
you
get real about.
fall down, we still gonna stand by you because you do get back up.
That's right. That's right. And I'm
Okay,
looking
I
at a
have
question
a
from.
another question in here.
Do you service people? I service people from all over the world. What I do in those instances is that usually when I get those calls, those people are usually in a state of crisis. So I spend a lot of time talking to them, talking them down, getting them to where they can, kind of tell me what they're going on. One thing with mental illness, I found I don't ask people what's going on. I ask them what are they feeling, and that gives me a good insight into what's going on and how I need to address it. But people from around the world have called me. What I try to do is find resources in their area. If they aren't readily available, I outsource them to a bigger nonprofit or one with more resources to get them help. And I follow up until I know they've been handed off successfully. So that's why I help everyone. Anyone who calls me is going to get help.
So this is another person that I've got his email in there because people, we are living in some hard, crucial times right now. And it's so much going on between COVID-19, and this has put a rise on mental illness. And there is nothing wrong. I gave my story of when I had my breast removed and I was in full blown menopause. So I went through some dark times. It's okay to say I suffer from depression. It's okay to say that I was in a dark period in my life. It's
Right.
okay to go seek help.
It's okay to say you're not okay.
It's
And
okay to
like,
say you're not okay.
yeah. And my diagnoses are bipolar 1, dissociative identity disorder, and PTSD. And it's hard for me. I have very hard days, but I still get up and fight my way through it. But I'm aware that everyone with a mental illness can't do that. I'm aware of the fact that many people with mental illness are finding themselves pigeonholed in what I really feel is a dismal cycle of poverty because you can't work. You can't. It's not that a lot of them don't want to work. It's just that those mechanisms aren't in place as far as dealing with employers in this country, and that's one thing I do want to address. But
Mr. Brooks,
yes, ma'am.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Most people that have mental illness, they don't think they're crazy. They don't, well, I shouldn't say crazy. I'm not going to put those words. Um, they don't feel that something is wrong with them, right? Most people that are suffering from some type of mental illness, they don't feel as though they have a problem.
Right.
Correct?
I personally feel that comes from a lot of the stigma we as Black folks have toward mental illness. It's a lot of shame involved. Because years ago, you would never, you, it would be rare for you to hear a Black person, especially a Black man, come out and say he had a mental illness or that he was taking medication. So,
Uh,
I feel that it's a good thing that people are kind of opening up more. I'm seeing a lot more communication. I think that's what's needed to do the healing that's taken that needs to take place. So I'm glad we're chipping down the stigma, and that's really the first thing that Meta has to do in every situation. Every podcast, every appearance, every speaking engagement. The first thing I have to do is address the stigma that we have because we have to pull down that veil to address the issue. So that's one thing I'm working on.
I
And we have to
put
work on
the
it
link
individually.
in the chat in case anybody wants to come join. This is a question that someone is asking.
Mhm. What is dissociative identity disorder? Well, that stems from typically dissociative identity disorder is a phenomenon whereas you feel detached from yourself. It's almost like you're in a dream state, and that's brought on by anxiety resulting from childhood trauma. That's the cookie cutter explanation from it, and that's the case in my case. I can't speak for every case, but in my case, that's what it is. It feels very strange. It feels very I don't know. When it happens, you kind of have to just give yourself time to get over it. Anxiety brings it on. Anything that triggers that past trauma or reminds you of it can bring it on. Um, it's just something that you have to. It's just something that you have to deal with. It's something that you have to kind of learn to navigate, and that's part of my life skills training with Meta is to teach those life skills, those little things about how to manage your medication, and things like that. So that's an integral part of it. But I'm glad to see people seeking help more. That's definitely a good thing. And since I got the opportunity, I'll explain my other diagnoses as well. Bipolar one, which is used to be called manic depression, which is categorized by highs and lows in mood. Um, so when you fluctuate from highs and lows, it's called cycling. So it may be a situation whereas you're in a manic state, which means you're very hyperactive. You tend to make poor decisions, which is why many of us with mental illness end up in the criminal justice system. It's because we encounter the public when we're in a sick state, and oftentimes police don't know how to engage that. Their solution is to take someone to jail as opposed to take them to a hospital. And we have to start treating drug abuse and mental health issues as a health issue, not as a criminal justice issue. That's why they don't get alleviated. The drug war is a health issue, not a criminal issue. They're treating it the wrong way, and that's why they're seeing the meager effects, the meager benefits that they are. And also the thing about that is you have to understand there's profit in misery. The penal system is a business, so of course they don't want recidivism programs for criminal companies. They don't want to see us empowered because they can make money off us. We're a good profit base, but we haven't learned how to leverage that how we propagate that message and articulate it in a way that's going to be beneficial and effective for us. And while I'm thinking about it, what's one other one? Oh, the PTSD. Uh, a lot of people have the misconception that PTSD is often caused from people who witness traumatic events such as 9/11 or those that have served in the military, and it can happen on an individual level with something less mass in terms of people experiencing things in childhood growing up that can scar them for life. We all have them. We all have them. And I don't want to come across as though I'm saying that people without mental illness don't suffer from the same triggers, the same trauma. But mental illness is biological. It's not thought of. It's chemical. It can be proven. You can see the difference on a CT scan. So it's irrefutable. So it has to be treated differently. And that's one thing we have to wrap our minds around first, because mental illness is not just chronic. It's not just the people that have serious diagnoses, such as I. It's people that have situational problems where they may be going through a rough time and it strains their mental health. So we need to be available for those people as well. Okay, I'm looking at a question from B again about as a teen they had no clue. Exactly, because I know with bipolar for a long excuse me, for a long time they didn't diagnose you if you were under 18. And my symptoms, my bipolar started showing at about 8-7. So up through my teen years, they just treated the depression part of it. And it wasn't until about 25 till I got my official diagnosis. And I kind of knew what it was all along because I researched it ad nauseum. But that's one thing we need to address too. And I want to work with mothers on that as far as addressing mental illness with our children. Understand how medication works, understand about medication management, about time. I take 17 pills a day, twice a day. So that takes a lot of time to manage, to sort. Even that can be stressful to someone who's not well equipped to deal with life struggles. And if you don't have that medication management, if you don't have the therapy, if you don't have the psychiatric component, and if you don't have the other components, you're not going to be successful. And that could end in loss of life, loss of freedom, loss of liberty, loss of life, loss of wellness. Is it hereditary? Yes. Um, I've read research studies where they can link mental illness to genetics. Also, I was speaking to a therapist the other day, just talking, and she was talking about how racial trauma can be impacted on one's genetics and sent down. So that's something else we should address and look into. But if I look back on my family history, yeah, I can see some stuff. I mean, I'm not surprised. And I'm sure if we look at relatives with mental illness, look at that one relative, we can probably pinpoint others that we can say may have it. I'm not in the business of diagnosing people. That's not what I do. I'm not qualified to do that. But that's something that we can all look at, and that's part of breaking down this stigma, because we've all been touched by mental illness, and that's the one thing. Well, that's one of the few things in life that does not discriminate. It's a disease. Doesn't care if you're white or black. Doesn't care how much money you have. But I'm going to focus on my diaspora first, and then transition into helping others. Okay, got any more questions? Oh, let me. I was thinking of one idea too. I'm sorry, things just come to me kind of spontaneously like that. I tend to have write them down because they're usually good ideas. But I want to create one thing I'm thinking of, and I want to work with Mr. Brown on this. Is a mediation program for our black men, because oftentimes disputes in the streets, at the home, carry on to something where neither party can walk it back. My idea for a mediation program would be through my nonprofit. We would set up where the disputed parties would come to me. We would have a mediator there. We would try to talk out the situation and try to squash the aggression and the acrimony right there, so it doesn't bleed out into the community. That's one thing that we're having too much of. And what I want to do is at the end of the resolution, at the end of the mediation, I would strive to get both parties to agree to work on a community project together, a 4 hour, 8 hour community project together, because I feel like that would then birth a more positive relationship. So that's one of the things I really want to do. I really want to enact, but that's going to take some more networking and funding to initiate. Okay, she linked her illness to the spirit will. Um, well, a lot of with mental illness is that you spend time and you dabble in different things to try to find yourself. A lot of times, people with mental illnesses are eccentric, so that may be part of it. I don't see anything wrong with whatever anybody believes religiously or spiritually. If as long as it works for you, you're not hurting anybody. I don't care. I'm a Christian. To each his own. But let me ask you this: B, is she in therapy at all, or any kind of professional care? I'll wait on your answer. But if not, she definitely needs to be a good therapist, and good medication will help you go a long way. Now, let me preface this. No matter how regimented you are, no matter how on top of your illness you are, you will still have what I call flare ups. You will still have exacerbations. You will still have triggers. The key is having those coping skills and mechanisms in place to keep you healthy and keep you safe. And one thing I do want to kind of, you know, get rid of is the notion that people with mental illnesses are dangerous. 9 times out of 10, people with mental illnesses are the victims. People take advantage of them. People steal their money. I've seen this all firsthand, and that's something too I want to address down the road in time. So these are just ideas that I'm. Oh, she's in therapy. Okay. So going back to the therapeutic aspect, that's something I ignored for a long time till I moved to Dallas, and once I got it, it totally revolutionized my recovery. So if she's in therapy, then that's good. If she's, you know, compliant with the medication, that's good. Just be there for her, check on her. You know, don't try to. And I'm sure you don't do this, but I'm saying this for the benefit of others. Don't make it where their mental illness is what you see them as. Yeah, it's a part of them, just like their hair color, just like their eye color, but don't make it seem like that defines them, because that can drive them up the wall. Because I know it did me like that for so long. Um, but she's in therapy, and that's good as long as she continues with therapy. Uh, then and compliant, then that should help. It won't cure. There won't be a cure for it, but it'll help it. But she has to do the legwork. So just preach accountability. Because one thing we as parents deal with when we're raising children with mental illnesses is that we deal with a lot of arrested development because of the mental illnesses, they don't get to develop the same way other kids do. So they may have a little bit harder time transitioning to adulthood. So they may require some extra time. And a lot of that fear you may have of someone when they're in a bad mental state is more so their frustration. You have to make them feel safe, and that's one of my triggers is being threatened or something like that. So as long as you can avoid those triggers or help them try to manage them, that's one thing I'm doing with my son who's also bipolar. I'm really working with him heavily on avoiding those instances, avoiding outbursts, dealing with triggers, having coping mechanisms in place to help himself. Because I'm not going to always be here. It's my role as a father to prepare him from the day that I'm no longer here, and that's pretty much what I go by. Does medication have to be taken? So, well, I mean, yeah, it has to be taken, and that's the thing that people don't want to hear. They want to be negotiable on the medication, and that doesn't work. I mean, if you're a cancer patient and you need chemo, you need chemo. If you're I'm a diabetic, if I don't wear my insulin pump, I'm going to get sick. I have to manage it along with diet, exercise, rest, and other things. It's the same way with mental illness. The medication has to come in conjunction with everything else. Otherwise, you will not get the maximum benefit of the care that is available to you. So if you have care available to you, and it is available, you may have to hunt for it, but transitioning into that. Good. It's hard. I know it was hard for me transitioning and having those rites of passage coming up, but as long as the therapy in place and the medication is in place, and you have to take the medication. Sorry, people just. I mean, I don't say it like that in response to you. I say that in response to all the people I've encountered over the years and will encounter that will try to just headbutt me to death about not taking the medication. Um, you know, it kills me when people want to be concerned about what they put in their bodies. These same people you see at the club drinking and smoking on a Friday night won't take a pill that'll help them recover, heal, or feel better, or function better, or live better. So that speaks to a wider problem that what Metta focuses on. Well, we will focus on our own way, but that's a wider issue. And I actually have a rule in my house for my kids. If you're prescribed psych meds or any meds and you don't take them, you cannot be here. So that's how I roll. I don't play about the medication. I don't play about putting and working for the treatment because it will affect the rest of your life. There are things that happened and things that um, occurred while I was sick years ago that have a lingering effect. And not all have been negative because I've tried to turn them into positive things. But you have to have that mindset. And if you're not willing to commit to your recovery, which is the most important thing as far as mental health, then you're probably not gonna. I don't want to say it like I would need to say it, but you're probably not going to be successful, and you're probably going to have a lot of issues with untreated mental illness. You have uh, legal problems that you'll get into, financial problems that you get into. One part of being bipolar, being in a manic state, is hypersexuality. So there's a chance of a lot of promiscuity, a lot of risk, things like that. So you really have to get on top of it and be vigilant about it. Now, if parents have no clue, that's one thing. Now, the fact that your daughter was able to realize she had an issue, that's fine. And I say this as someone living with mental illness and raising children with mental illnesses. It's not the parents' fault. Don't blame yourself. I met a woman one time I was speaking, and she was blaming herself, and I had to kind of tell her, you did everything you could do. And if you don't have a clue, you don't have a clue. This stuff isn't, we haven't learned enough to be able to recognize the signs yet. And that's one thing I'm hoping to teach with my nonprofit is get the signs out there so we can recognize it. But you were supportive of your daughter, so you did everything right. And the fact that she's successful, that speaks well of your parenting. So you should be proud of that. Just support her and be there and encourage her recovery, and things will be as good as she makes them. Because another thing about mental illness that I really am hard on is about accountability. If you're a patient and if you're capable, if you're able to function, if you want to go out here and live and do things, then you need to be on top of your own medication. You have to be accountable. You need a partner to help you. You need a caretaker to maybe help you when other times you can't. But you have to maximize your productivity. You have to invest in yourself, mental illness or not, to be successful in life. Yeah, if you had, and I'm responding to just um, that's one thing too. If you are with someone or have family to tell you don't take your medication, then they don't need to be around you. They really don't, because they're going to work counter. They're going to be totally counterproductive to your recovery. So I'm not one to espouse people what to do, but if someone is like that or being counterproductive or negative to your recovery, then that's not a person you need to be around. So sometimes I'm estranged. I haven't spoken to my sisters in 7 years. I'm totally estranged from my family. That's for the best, though, because I know that's what's going to help keep me well. It does make a huge. Lexapro is what probably one of the best antidepressants that I've personally been on as far as its effectiveness, and the amount that you can get, the amount of improvement you can see on a low dosage is great. Excuse me, some fell. But the amount that you can improve on low dosage is great. So just fix my light. Sorry about that, everyone. But yeah, if you have someone telling you not to take it, that's usually a red flag that you're going to have a hard time. Because when you go through a crisis with your mental illness, because you inevitably will, that person is not going to be there, not going to be supportive. The link between mental illness and depression, is there a difference? There is a difference in the sense that mental illness is usually thought as more chronic. Uh, Depression can be an episodic thing. It can be a seasonal thing. It can be something where it can be not chronic, where you have to stay on medication forever, but you may need a short stint to kind of bring you out of it or get you back regulated or something like that. But if there are, what I really would like to see too is like a better system of doing mental health checkups. Just like we're pretty much required by our insurance companies to go to get a physical once a year, we should get a mental checkup once a year. And if you think you may be feeling depressed, I would advise you to talk to someone. Um, Everyone could use therapy at least once in their life. I think it's a good experience, especially for those of us who have not experienced it. But if you think you are depressed or maybe depressed, definitely seek help on that. Address it. Don't sweep it up under the rug. Don't think it'll pass because it may lead to something worse if you're not careful. If you are a heart patient and having chest pains, you will go to the doctor. Same deal. That's why I always equate it with physical issues because that's what people tend to understand. They can't understand a mental illness because they can't see it. It may not be evident. I think if most people saw me on the street or came in contact with me, they may not know that I have the severity of issues that I do because I've learned to cope. I've learned to manage it. So, but please get help. Get help. Seek help. Go talk to someone. It may not be that, but at least you'll know. At least you'll have a clinical opinion to draw upon and move forward. But I do want to urge you all to go to my site, excuse me, my nonprofit site. It's mettaassociation.org. That's METTA association.org. We'll be updating that very soon with the latest information, but the information there is still relevant. You can find information on how to contact me, how to volunteer, how to donate, how to contribute, and you can see some of my other media appearances and learn more about our nonprofit and what we do and what our mission is.
Okay. Um, have you answered most of the questions in the chat?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I am so thankful for you coming on. My audience is thankful. Um, I am thankful because, like I said, I went through um, a dark time once I had my breast removed.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
know, that was like a really dark time for me. I was in full blown menopause and I had a lot of dark days. So I am just trying to share my story with people
Right.
and I'm letting people know, that it is okay to not be okay.
Right. And God gave us all a narrative, and I think it's on us to use our narrative to try to help people and heal ourselves. So I'm basically doing God's work. That's how I look at what I'm doing, and it's enriching me because I have fun what I'm doing. I enjoy what I'm doing. I love helping people. It gives me a great feeling of pride, accomplishment, happiness. So I love what I'm doing. I really do.
Yeah. And I am so thankful to have you. Yeah.
And I
Are
want to
there
thank you
any?
for having me on. I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. Um, And you know what? To everybody that's in the chat and in the background listening, I want to thank you all for supporting me um, with these shows. Like I said, I am going to be dealing with some real life issue situations. You know, we talk about things that are going on in the Black community, but yet, you know, we're not doing anything about it.
Right,
So, um, you know, I'm gonna talk about it and I'm gonna be about it. You
right.
know, I've lived to be 59. The good Lord let me survive breast cancer twice, and so you know what? Maybe it's to you know, share my story, and I will. You know, and I just want to thank everybody in the chat that has stuck by me. Um, you know, much love and respect to you all.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I
And
appreciate it.
I want to thank you all for coming into these shows. Um, I feel like mental illness is something that the Black community does not talk about. We cannot pray about everything. You need to go get medication.
Right.
So, did you want to give like a closing statement?
I just want to say that we owe it all to each other, especially having lived through a pandemic and what's going on in other parts of the world, to try to be kind to each other. I don't mean to put ourselves out, but we need to start looking out for each other, even if that means in your daily activities, you know, giving someone a kind word. Things like that make a big difference. So let's try to do that. Let's try to take care of each other. Let's try to take better care of ourselves. And let's try to improve our situation, not only for ourselves, but for our children, because they inherit the world we leave them. They can only be as good as the world that we left them with to build upon. So we have to
Amen.
make sure that we give them the best, our best, and that we be our best, and we stop playing around and we stop wasting time. Especially my black brothers, we got to stop wasting time. But you can visit me at metassociation.org. My business number is 210 no 214 810 6518. If you don't reach me, just leave a message. I'll call you back.
Repeat the number again.
Yes, 214 810 6518. And we are also actively seeking donations. Our Cash App is $Metta, METTA Association.
All right. Thank you so much for joining me, Mr. Brooks.
Thank you.
Um, like I said, the numbers are there. Don't be shamed, people. You know, I'm telling you, I went through a dark period in my life, and I sought help.
Right, right, correct.
Yes. Okay. Thank you all for joining us. Did you want to give a closing statement?
That was pretty much it. Just try to be kinder to one another, and let's try to work together to improve ourselves and our situation. That's the only way we're going to do it is through collaboration.
Okay. Let's collaborate, people. Let's all look out for each other. There is nothing wrong with not being okay. You can temporarily take medicine to get back on track. Don't be ashamed. We cannot pray about everything. We need medication sometimes.
Right.
This is April Showers. I'm out. Thank you, Mr. Brooks.
Thank you so much. That was
Okay.
great.
All right.
Alrighty.
All righty. Love you all.
Thank you, everyone.